Welcome to the Asian A.V Club What to Watch podcast, where we usually talk about current TV series and movies that we feel should be on your radar. On our last episode, we brought on 3 of my festival buddies to bring off the fall, to basically kick off the fall festival season, highlighting a few specific titles through Jay Kelly, After the Hunt, No Other Choice, Begonia, and Frankenstein. These are movies that all world premiered over at Venice Film Festival. Now, since then, Venice ended by giving a somewhat, I feel, controversial Golden Lion win to Jim Jarmusch, this film, Father, Mother, Sister, Brother. And then immediately afterwards, festivals Telluride and Toronto finished up with a few titles that are basically shoo-ins for the award season. It's a lot to break down. So I asked once again my buddy Patrick Heidmann to come on and give us some insight of what he's seen and heard on this epic 3 weeks. It's so crazy. 3 weeks of where it's just been movies and stars galore, red carpets, blah blah. It all happened in the past 3 weeks. You've been very, very busy, Patrick, yourself. You've been doing the Emmy Awards. Speaking of other events where people so what I mean, are you sick and tired of people just walking red carpets and just kind of promoting their things? And
I never am tired of that. And also, if I were, that would be not helpful, because the next few weeks will still be lots of red carpets and festivals. I mean, maybe not the big ones anymore, but we've got plenty of festivals here in Europe coming up. You've got the one in New York. So, I mean, award season is in full swing. So we will have to get used to great actors and artists on red carpets for the next 6 months.
It's so crazy because honestly, some end of summer was just you kind of you fall into this lazy haze of just oh, I guess there's a new movie coming out this week. It's very quiet and so, and then literally August 28th, it feels like it just whether you want it or not, or especially if you cover the stuff, it just goes into full gear, and then it's now we're on. There's nothing. Yeah, this is let's talk about films basically. So. In our last podcast, you, at the very end of it, you were like, oh, I saw this film, Jim Jarmusch's little, Father, Mother, Sister, Brother. And then it won the Golden Lion. I mean, that is crazy. I mean, at the time, I thought, because a movie called The Voice of Hind Rajab came out and everybody was talking about it. 23-minute standing ovation. I read that journalists were bawling afterwards. It felt like that was the movie to beat. And then when the announcement for the winner came out, it was Jim Jarmusch's film, and I was like, oh, it got political. You just wonder if behind the scenes there's a conversation about it. And I'm just curious, since you were there, what was the tone like, and what was the kind of, what do you feel happened with this film? Why do you think?
I mean, I don't want to speculate too much, and there have been lots of stories going around about the jury getting into a big fight and people threatening to walk off, and some people in the jury, I don't know, who probably did not want to win The Voice of Hind Rajab to win.
Yeah.
That might have been political. I don't know. There are other issues that people have with the film. Some just find it very questionable morally that they use the real recordings of this dying girl, and I can understand that. I mean, for me, it was a film that worked. It hit me very hard. I was one of the people bawling in the screening room. I wasn't surprised that it didn't win the Golden Lion. So, and we also have to remember it still won a big award. So at least they did that. They gave it the second biggest award, which is great for the film, I think.
Yeah.
And well deserved. And I think, I mean, Jim Jarmusch's film, which I loved, not everybody loved, but I thought it was lovely. And it feels to me like a little bit like last year, where Pedro Almodovar's The Room Next Door won, very surprisingly. Feels like a choice that maybe the jury said, you know what, we can't agree on one or two of the very big films, so let's give it to someone who's been around forever, who did a lovely film. You can't go wrong with that. And I kind of agree. There could have been a lot worse choices than giving it to Father, Mother, Sister, Brother.
It's an interesting choice because obviously, I think from film pundit, award pundit kind of perspective, this is one of those movies that, sure, it's got a great cast. It's three short stories that are around the theme of father, mother, sister, brother, and Jim Jarmusch is a great director, and so I think it was always going to be a title that people were going to watch, but really to push it at the forefront of this kind of conversation is fascinating, and I'm curious. I haven't seen the film yet, so I'm really curious, like how I'll feel watching this movie. That also changes how Mubi, because Mubi has the rights to this film, how they're gonna try to push this movie, because now that like it's won this big ass
Yeah.
award, like like they're like, oh, do we have this, like that film, like
Yeah, but I don't think I can't see this playing a big part in the award
I
season.
know.
But well, we'll see.
You
We'll
never
see.
know. We're
You never know.
interesting. Listen, if it won this type of award, maybe it'll move into the indie award kind of like sector, and kind of
Oh yeah, absolutely.
do all that stuff. But let's talk about the voice of Hind Rajab. And basically, it was a film that world premiered at Venice, and then went on to Toronto. It skipped Telluride, and it's directed by, oh gosh, I'm gonna Kaouther. Like how do you pronounce it? Kaut.
I would say Kaouther,
Okay.
but I'm not 100% sure always either. So
Director Kaouther Hania, who made the wonderful Oscar nominated doc Four Daughters a couple years ago, and she's basically returned with a dramatization of the oh gosh, last hours on January 29th in 2024, when Palestine Red Crescent volunteers tried to calm a 6-year-old girl named Hind Rajab, and trying to figure out how to get an ambulance to her because she's surrounded by Israeli tanks. And then what's kind of made this film a little bit interesting is that they've used the actual recording of the girl, and then they've done a dramatization around it from the volunteers sector. Like I said, the film got 23 minutes standing ovation. A lot of people were really, really, emotional watching the film. What was your take on it? I mean, uh, before even watching the film, I think on paper this is like, oh gosh, this is going to be that. But were you surprised at how effective it was? Because I think people, especially when you read these blurbs like at film festivals and stuff, you kind of know what you're walking into, and then, in a weird way, it almost starts as a negative, because you're just like, great, they're gonna manipulate us into like. But then when a really good director like takes on something that is going to cause an emotion like this, and they make a good movie, like that's when things are really exciting, and really kind of like moves you in a different way. And I'm just curious, what was your take going into the movie, watching this film, and then kind of walking
yeah,
out of it, basically?
I didn't really know what to expect. I mean, I know that she's a director who always is blurring the lines between documentary and fiction. And I was maybe expecting to be a little bit more like a documentary. Like
Mm,
I knew that she would, I don't know, work with actors to a degree, but I had no idea what will happen. And then it really plays like a fictional story or like a dramatization of what was going on. The only real thing is the voice of Hind Rajab.
right.
So everything else feels like almost like a ticking time bomb kind of thriller. And yeah, some people really felt manipulated by the fact that
Yeah.
they're watching this thriller kind of thing, but knowing that they're hearing the voice of this real girl who, in the end, does not survive. Um, yeah, I wasn't bothered by that. I mean, I understand why people question this choice, but when she explained it in an interview to me that the mother of Hind Rajab was hoping for her to use the real voice, was encouraging her to use it, to have this voice heard and not be silenced
Yeah.
again. That made sense to me, and it just hits you on a different level. I mean, I bet even as a fiction film, I would have been crying because it just is very tense and very sad, and it really visualizes the helplessness that probably a lot of us are feeling these days, especially looking at what is going on in Palestine and in this war. And but yeah, knowing that it is real made it even worse. And I don't know, I found it incredibly effective, and moving and well made. The actors are, by the way, all fantastic. So yeah, I think it was well deserved that it won a big award. And I know it's Tunisia's entry for the Oscars, so I'm pretty sure we will keep hearing about this in the next month to come.
Which also, I mean, I was just going to say the film has yet to sell in the U.S., but there's celebrities like Brad Pitt, Joaquin Phoenix, Alfonso Cuarón, and then Jonathan Glazer on as executive producers. They all joined on like the day before the screening, right? Like it was a pretty last
Yeah,
minute.
yeah, yeah.
And then that because there's no distributor also means that they can still do a self release in limited in theaters for a limited period of time, especially if it's the official film for Tunisia. Um, if no distributor dares to pick up this film, for release, and so that's. But yes, I think this is the movie that a lot of people are still going to be talking about moving towards award
Absolutely.
season. I think the curiosity would be okay. Let's say it makes the top five of the best foreign language. Is this a movie that has the potential to like break into the bigger kind of like landscape of award? And
Yeah,
I'm curious how they're gonna do this, and so that's kind of why this movie should be on everybody's radar. It's just one of
yeah,
those titles that I think is going to be a really controversial, not controversial. It's just going to be one of the ones that it's going to be a big one moving forward. So that's why I wanted to talk about that. Okay, now in between Venice and Toronto, there's a very low key and very exclusive film festival called the Telluride Film Festival, and it's located in the mountains of Colorado. What's really fascinating about Telluride is that the festival doesn't announce its lineup until like a couple of days before. And it's interesting because even though certain movies kind of like world premiere there, because they are, I don't really know what technicality they have, but basically they don't consider themselves world premiere like kind of level, even though they do world premiere. It's one of those weird like kind of logistical things. So then if it goes to Toronto, then they claim world premiere status, and it's like, all
yeah.
right, what? But it did show tell you, I don't want to. Anyway, and so they had a couple big titles that happened there. So the biggest one was the Bruce Springsteen biopic "Deliver Me from Nowhere," adapted from the Warren Zane's 2023 best-selling book. The film stars the Bears' Jeremy Allen White as the boss, Springsteen, as he veers from his usual sound to record a very personal, almost acoustic album called Nebraska. And it's also the seed of like when, Born in the USA, like that there apparently I haven't like there might be a performance of that song. Anyway, and co-stars Jeremy Allen, co-starring Jeremy Strong as his manager John Landau. The film also stars Stephen Graham, who just won Best Actor in the Emmys, and also Odessa Young. Now, much is said about Jeremy Allen White doing his own vocals for the film's live performance and just doing Springsteen proud in what is most likely a very Best Actor campaign that's going to happen once this movie is released in October. Patrick, are you a fan of Springsteen? And if you're not, does it matter? Will you still watch this Scott Cooper film?
Well, of course I'm going to watch it. I have to say, I'm not a big Springsteen fan. It was always kind of like my dad's music when I grew up. But I met him, like the real Springsteen, in Toronto at the film festival. I think it was in 2018 or 19. He had a documentary
Yeah.
kind of style film there. And yeah, he was lovely. I even took a photo with him for my dad. So yeah, I like him definitely, and I know, of course, a lot of music, even though I never actively was a fan of his. I'm very curious to see the film and see how it will play out, how successful it will be, if it will, be similar to some of the other successful music biopics that we've seen recently, be it the one with Chalamet as Bob Dylan, or more like the Bohemian Rhapsody. The one thing I have to say, and I love Jeremy Allen White, and from what I've heard, the singing is really spot on. That's for Springsteen fans to tell. But when I look at him, even in the film, I just don't see Springsteen. That's really an issue that I have. But maybe it doesn't really matter. So
I feel like it's definitely a suspension of disbelief. Like
yeah,
basically you just have to like go in going like it doesn't look like the guy, but
yeah, that
he
doesn't matter.
yeah, and
Which
it
is
doesn't
a
matter.
great
I think
thing.
And you know, director Scott Cooper, he's got a really great track record because a couple years ago he did a film called Crazy Heart, which then Jeff Bridges starred in that and then got himself a Best Actor nomination. And yeah, I mean, it feels like every year there's one movie that's a biopic, and then you know, everybody goes, I'm sure it's just one of those. I'm sure it's solid. You know, like this is one like for, and it's going next to New York Film Festival. You know, what's interesting is this film didn't go to TIFF. You know, and so that's I'm always fascinated about the decisions that studios make when they decide where they're going to place this
Yeah.
film, because like obviously if this showed at TIFF people would go crazy for it, you know, because there's such, I'm sure there's so many Bruce Springsteen fans over there, but like the fact that it's going straight to New York means that like Bruce is going to attend, it's going to, I don't know, maybe they'll perform together, like it might be one of those
Oh
big
yeah,
that'll be awesome
yeah.
if they paired off. And so this is an interesting one. I again I in theory really appreciate Springsteen. I actually watched a concert on online and was just like, oh yeah, that's why he's the boss. Like this man he does like 3 hour concerts. I mean, like it's just, and he's just got so much energy and stuff. And so
Yeah.
I feel like this film will capture some of that, and even just an iota of that magic that like Springsteen has. If that makes it onto the screen, this is the film that's going to really inspire you. So yeah, Deliver Me from Nowhere. That's a big title I think for the fall. There was another world premiere at Telluride with Academy Award winning director Chloe Zhao, bringing her adaptation of Maggie O'Farrell's novel Hamnet to the screens, telling the story of the relationship between William Shakespeare, played by Paul Mescal, and his wife Agnes, played by Jessie Buckley. Hamnet imagines how their only son might have inspired the creation of his greatest tragedy, Hamlet. It's a serious tearjerker, and basically what is everybody talking is Jessie Buckley and her performance, which is extremely raw and emotional, and it's like nothing you've seen her do. And so, I mean, Chloe Zhao, Patrick, is such a solid director. I mean, she did The Rider, she did Nomadland. Uh, should we skip Eternals? Like, I feel like that's kind of one of those, you know, like,
You
but
know, I don't know. I don't think Eternals worked entirely, but it was still one of the most interesting Marvel films we ever got, I personally think. So we don't have to skip it, but it's not. I bet Hamlet is a way and beyond better film than
oh,
Eternals.
I'm sure. I mean,
You know
and
that?
so it's interesting how it's like she kind of is back at form, and basically after Telluride, Hamnet then went on to Toronto, and as expected, won over audiences because it picked up the People's Choice Award, making her the first director to win this award twice. And you know, if their track record is correct, like you know, I think like 13 of their best, oh, you know, People's Choice Awards have ended up going to win Best Film, and so this seems like the film to beat during award season. I mean, have you heard anything more about? I mean, everybody that's seen it just loves this movie, so it's just
It's the one that I am most excited about this fall, I have to say. I haven't seen it yet, but I can't wait. And I love Jessie Buckley. I feel I discovered her maybe earlier than some others. I don't know if you've ever seen, I think it was called Wild Rose, a
oh yeah,
film.
oh my God,
Yeah,
Country Singer, which is
exactly. And
amazing. Yeah,
not enough people talked about it back then, but
yeah.
she was already so great in that film, and I loved her in um the one from Maggie Gyllenhaal, Lost Daughter, amazing. And she's always so good. Same with Paul Mescal, actually, who was brilliant as well. So yeah, this is sounds like it is the film for me. And
It's funny, interesting about Jesse's like to me why I feel like I mean she's so good because she's an extremely intuitive actor, and so like her performance is also really, it comes from a really honest place, and it's just I have a feeling this is, you know, I was reading up on this film, and like you know she's kind of like a witch in this movie, and like I can't wait. Like there's something really exciting about like a woman who's like so in tune with nature and kind of her feel, you know, and so to watch this, I mean, you know, it's a tearjerker. So to watch this basic tragedy, you know, and it is going to be fascinating. And I just think like everybody's just gonna love this. I mean, I can't wait. Chloe Zhao, again, super great at like drawing these performances out of people. And so between the two of them, holy cow, this is going to be a really exciting piece. So after Telluride, of course, came the big Toronto Film Festival, aka TIFF, hosting 300 films this year. Like Toronto once again became a launch pad for domestic and international films that are kind of like vying to jump on that all important like award train. And it's all also a place where many films without sales go and show in front of a very appreciative audiences. A lot of these movies that don't have sales are led by like actors who want to be directors, and so there's like a whole slew, whether they're good or not, it just, there's a whole bunch, but hopefully, buyers, like your mainstreamers or studios, are willing to put down money after experiencing the response. Now, you and I have both been to TIFF. It's kind of an interesting festival because every movie gets such a positive like response from an audience. So it's like false advertising, if you will. Like whether it's
It is.
good or not, like everybody's like, "Well," like they're just so excited that like the star is there and they're standing in front of them, and it is just that kind of feeling. It's wonderful, but also again, it's just such a wacky place to kind of come out because I think a lot of movies, whether they're good or great or bad or decent or whatever, like it'll always get a positive response. And so
Yeah.
Toronto is a wacky town. And so like what's your take on Toronto, and do you, when people love the movie, do you trust the people? Like what's like,
You kind of said it all already. I mean, you cannot. It's not. I mean, basically, I never trust anyone when it comes to movies.
yeah.
Maybe other than my closest friends whose taste I know very well, like you.
Oh, thanks. Yeah.
But yeah, it's always so subjective. But you're right in that. I mean, it's just a festival for film lovers, and I love how enthusiastic the people in Toronto are and how they line up for hours
Yeah.
around the just to get into a film that they know nothing about. And of course they love it. And that's great. But it's always, I mean, in terms of what is actually really good and what will end up playing a big part at the awards and stuff, I feel you kind of need a couple of more festivals after TIFF
Yeah.
to actually realize, okay, this is really indeed a good film and this is really a front runner. So
Uh,
that's why New York or also in London, the LFF Festival, they are very helpful in kind of, seeing
Narrowing down.
where do we stand at.
Whether your positive thoughts were just some wild emotional manipulation or actual fact. Besides movies that showed at Venice like Frankenstein, No Other Choice, and the doc Cover Up that you liked, Patrick, Toronto had a bunch of big world premieres like the tense Paul Greengrass rescue film The Lost Bus, director Hikari Sweet, Brendan Fraser drama The Rental Family, which I can't wait to see, Derek Cianfrance giving Channing Tatum, I feel, the best performance of his career in The Roof Man, and then of course Nuremberg, which had Russell Crowe and Rami Malek in it too. And so there are all these kind of movies that yeah, just Toronto was the place for them to kind of showcase or kind of world premiere. Netflix once again used this fall film festival to launch one of their prestige titles, and this one is the highly anticipated third entry into the Knives Out universe, Wake Up Dead Man, reuniting director Rian Johnson with Benoit Blanc, aka Daniel Craig, with yet another all-star cast. I mean, this cast featuring Jeremy Renner, Andrew Scott, Mila Kunis, Kerry Washington, Glenn Close, and then my current boyfriend Josh O'Connor. Once again,
Right. He's my boyfriend.
oh no, he's cheating on all of us. Then he
Yeah.
once again, murder is on the cards, but this time is that it's darker and more emotional than previous installments. Patrick, how do we convince Netflix to put this on this big screen for a longer period of time? Because everybody's saying that this is a really solid movie and really should be seen on the big screen.
Yeah, well, I think there is no convincing Netflix to do that. I am worried they're just not interested in cinema, but and in the cinema going experience. It's just not, that's just not them. That's not their business model. They will do these 2 week kind of things in order to qualify for Oscars. I mean, we can bag. I'm happy bagging everybody at Netflix whenever I run into them, but I'm not optimistic that we can convince them.
I mean, it's proven a film like this Frankenstein, like they look good on the screen, and you kind of have this whole, experience with other people to kind of really enjoy the movie, and that can really affect, I feel, even people who are going to vote in the future. I mean, like that's that, and so just giving them a link maybe just won't be as fun as like kind of placing them in a room with all these people, and yeah, let's if you're
And I also think, I mean, especially with this film, like the third Knives Out, and I mean that's the sort of film that is still able to make some money
yeah,
at
yeah.
the box office. So it's not like you know have this tiny little indie drama that you bought and that you now want to put in the rewards season. This is really a film that lots of people I know would happily
Oh,
go out, to buy a ticket, and watch it on the big screen. So I
yeah.
think they definitely should do that. Same with A House of Dynamite, which I loved in Venice, which is amazing to see on a big screen. So yes, I mean I agree. We should try everything to convince them, even though I'm not optimistic.
Because they listen to us because this is such a really influential pod. Yeah, please Netflix do it. The film is a serious crowd pleaser. It's ranked number 3 in the TIFF Audience Award after Frankenstein's number 2, and then Hamnet, of course, won number 1. That's there's other movies that we can talk about, but really I feel like just looking at this landscape, these were the titles that kind of really rose to the top of the occasion, and again moves us into an interesting period of time where these movies are going to tour if you will, and the stars are also going to be touring, and then they're just going to slowly start. I mean, every appearance at any festival is a campaign towards the all encompassing award season. And so yeah, it's insane. 3 weeks of just films. Everybody's just, and I don't know anybody that's doing all 3 festivals, but like, oh my gosh, if you are, then kudos. Kudos to you. Um, we again, like you said, we have like New York Film Festival, LFF is coming out. AFI has also got maybe 1 or 2 movies, still. And then in Europe, there's a couple of film festivals too that will are kind of on the same tour path of these films. So, are you excited for this season? Like now that we kind of have an idea of like what a lot of these titles are going to look
Yeah,
like.
I am. I maybe there have been years where I was more excited,
Yeah.
but I still am. And I mean, other than the films that we've mentioned, we still have quite a few award contenders that premiered in Cannes that are quite exciting. So for example, Sentimental Value. I'm
Oh my
very
gosh. Yeah.
curious to see how that will end up playing because that was also playing, I think, Telluride and TIFF and got very well received. So we'll keep on talking about that film. Um, but if I'm totally honest, the 2 films this year that I'm so far most excited about are actually not festival films. So
Which
there's also
two?
that,
Which
which is
two?
I'm still thinking that Sinners is one of the best films I've seen this year, and I still think it will be playing you know, a part in the Oscar race. And the other one is One Battle After the Other
I was
by
just
Paul
gonna
Thomas
say that.
Anderson, which
It
is amazing.
it's so crazy that Paul Thomas Anderson's One Battle After Another didn't go to any of these festivals.
But he never
It's
really does he?
he doesn't like it. He doesn't see the point. And I guess from a economic standpoint, it's wonderful for the studio. They're like, oh, we don't have to spend like $1 million to like fly Leo and his crew around. And so they're just doing the premiere, and then they're just going to release it. And the movie, like you said, is excellent. And I agree with you. Like it's gonna. Yeah, it's a solid movie. Oh my gosh, it's so good. Yeah, we're gonna talk about that in a
Yeah.
future podcast and stuff. But like, yeah, that is, I agree with you. Actually, Sinners, and I'm gonna throw in Weapons. Like, I think Weapons has a really sleeper potential to kind of like surprise with very
Thing.
specific performances and yeah, who knew? Who knew that Warner Brothers is going to be putting out 3 of the kind of more surprise award movies of the season? So I kudos to them for like doing
No
this.
wonder, no wonder people want to buy them.
Yeah, exactly. Oh gosh, yeah. Anyway, we still have, personally, we have some exclusive TIFF interviews with some buzzy Asian titles that I did for Asian A.V Club coming up. And but Patrick, thank you again for coming on. It was such a last minute.
Always a pleasure.
I'm like
Always a
Patrick, come
pleasure.
back on. I need help. And basically, when the next episode, we'll be back to talking in a regular format of talking about TV shows. TV shows. When was the last time you saw a television show, Patrick? Like
Oh,
after all these
believe
movies.
you me, it's not that long ago.
Yeah. And then looking at non-festival movies that you should be keeping an eye out. So thank you again, Patrick, for your
Always a pleasure.
wonderful commentary and one day I mean, basically, you're my go-to now. So I will bring you back on. I warn you now. So thank you so much in advance. But bye. Thank you, everybody.
Bye.